Have you ever heard of Popjam? Popjam was a children's social media app centered around art. And despite having over 9 million users, it's never mentioned online, never brought up anywhere, and I had to scavenge the dustiest corners of the internet just to find information about it for this video. Hi, I'm Kate, and I was known on Popjam as Dirt Draws, Katie's World, and Arter, if you really want to get niche. I'm 16, and this is the first video like this that I've ever made. I've had the idea for this video in my head since 2023, and now, 3 years later, I'm finally doing it. I have a lot of ideas for other videos similar to this that I'd love to make, so if you enjoy this video even a little bit, perhaps leave a like, smash that subscribe button and ring that bell, and if you were once an active member of the hell site known as Popjam, I'd love to hear a comment from you. So, what was Popjam? Well, to know what Popjam was exactly, you kinda just had to be there. Nevertheless, I'll try my best to explain it. It's kind of like if Instagram, Amino, and Roblox all came together to have a really ugly rainbow-colored love child. Now, based on the apps I used to describe Popjam, some red flags may be raising. Rest assured, Popjam was actually kind of safe overall. But before I can get into that, it's important that I properly explain what Popjam was. Popjam was developed by Mind Candy in 2014 and was later sold to Super Awesome Ltd, which is owned by Epic Games. It was a social media style app targeted towards kids ages 7 to 12 who weren't quite yet old enough for regular social media but who still wanted to be part of the fun. At its core, Popjam was centered around creativity, kindness, and online safety. Popjam had a built-in drawing program, and it was intended to be the main way users shared posts on the app. It had one layer, no fill bucket, and no zoom, but we made do. The frustrating yet charming drawing program wasn't the only way to make a post though. Users could decorate their digital canvas in text and stickers and take selfies with privacy-protecting filters built in. Popjam tried to cultivate a positive environment for children on their site. Whether that worked or not is still up for debate, but let's suspend our disbelief and pretend it did. The official Popjam account would regularly make posts sharing online safety tips and reminders to be kind or to share acts of kindness. The comment, post text, and caption features had a censorship filter similar to, and even stricter than Roblox's, and the app was monitored 24/7 by Popjam staff. Also, if the client's device time was set to any time between 11 p.m. to 6 a.m., they would be unable to access the app and told to go to sleep. Of course, this could easily be bypassed by changing the device time, but that was a little too complicated for your average 8-year-old back then. Popjam had a blocking system, but once you blocked someone, you could never unblock them. Blocking someone would cut off your access to viewing their account entirely and prevented you and them from tagging each other in comments and posts. Whether the inability to unblock someone was a good or bad thing is still undecided. Yes, it was annoying to have a random account blocked just to see what would happen if you blocked it, but it also prevented emotionally charged children from blocking someone just to unblock them to try to start drama again. Of course, drama was always an epidemic on the app, and it was nearly impossible to get rid of completely. But credit where credit's due, the Popjam staff tried their best. Yes, things did slip through the cracks, but from what I can remember, whoever the Popjam public enemy #1 of the day was would get their account taken down swiftly once enough people reported it. Whether it was an art stealer, troll, who remembers Math Monkey, or account posting inappropriate content. Thankfully, that last type of account didn't spring up much. I believe that every post was human reviewed by staff before it was sent out to be seen by users on the app. Bad things still happen though. I don't want to discuss them in great detail since I want this video to highlight the great parts of Popjam rather than focus on the negative aspects, but I also don't want to act like Popjam was some problem-free paradise for kids. In my own experience, I've seen posts from users who, of course, were children, venting about mental health topics that I'm not sure I can share on YouTube. I have a memory from when I was 9 of trying to talk someone out of it in a Popjam comment section. I really hope those people are living happier lives today, and if you're struggling with mental health, please speak to someone you trust about it. Homophobia was also an issue on Popjam. For me, I learned a lot about LGBTQ labels and had a lot of positive experiences, but I can't say the same for everyone. I talked to a lot of former Popjammers for this video, and almost all of them mentioned that Popjam had a homophobia problem. Popjam apparently removed a lot of user-made groups related to the LGBTQ community, and only restored some of them after major backlash. Popjam also seemed to not like to ban users spouting hateful, homophobic rhetoric, and users openly part of the LGBTQ community were left to fend for themselves against hateful comments left under their posts. What made Popjam Popjam? Popjam had a lot of weird quirks that made the app what it was. From all the random, wacky features to the online culture of it all, it's really something you just had to be there for. But I'll try my best to explain some of the major parts of the Popjam experience. Every day, at the top of your home feed, the daily challenge would be posted. Users would be given a prompt to draw, and the Popjam staff would pick the best artwork to feature the next day. The big winner would be posted to the Popjam Daily Challenge page as its own featured post, and a variety of runner-ups would be posted following it, with 4 per post. Winners would receive a little statistic on their profile showing how many times they won or got runner-up, as well as what was basically a shout-out for Popjam, and clout, of course. The Daily Challenge also had measures to prevent cheating through artwork stealing, such as not allowing photos from your device to be directly uploaded under the post, and if they were, they didn't qualify. I would pour my blood, sweat, and tears into the Daily Challenge almost every day, fighting with the clunky drawing interface that lacked both layers and a fill button. And alas, I was never even a runner-up. But also, my art looked like this, so perhaps that's for the best. Every Monday or something, Popjam would announce a user as a winner of the Neon Star. The Neon Star was an award given out to Popjammers who stuck out because they were exceptionally kind, talented, and active members of Popjam. The other unspoken rule was that they also had to have a pretty high follower count. The lowest number of followers I remember seeing someone with a Neon Star have was 800, and that's a lot for Popjam. Users could also nominate another user for a Neon Star in Popjam's comments, but I'm not sure if it ever had any weight on who they ultimately crowned. The Neon Star looked like this, and would appear next to your username everywhere on the app, so it basically made you a Popjam celebrity. Along with the Neon Star, Popjam had other badges as well. These included staff badges, which were badges that Popjam staff had, verified badges, which were given to YouTubers and brands, and finally, follower badges, which were a bit different. Depending on how many followers someone had, they would go up a level. These levels really had no use besides being something you could flex with. Once a user reached over 1,000 followers and reached level 11, they were given a black and gold star for their profile, as well as access to an exclusive sticker pack. The same went for 2K with a silver star, 3K with a gold star, and 4K with a platinum star that looked very similar to the 2K star. If given a Neon Star, the Neon Star would override whichever badge the user already had in their profile. Staff, YouTuber, and brand accounts were ineligible for Neon Stars, of course. A rejam was Popjam's attempt at copying Twitter, and this was before every social media site had repost buttons. Users were able to rejam posts to appear on their profile and to help them gain more traction. However, users were only able to rejam every 4 to 8 to 12 hours? I'm not really sure. However long it was a long time. Well, felt like a long time. Probably to prevent spam and to keep the rejam feeling special. With how much of my Twitter account is just random retweets today, maybe I wouldn't mind something like this being added to Twitter. Groups were added in mid-2020 and were basically just an optional feature that you could post things to maybe gain a little bit more traction on your post by posting them to communities looking for that topic specifically. There were lots of different groups, and some were official, made by Popjam, and some users could make, I believe. I don't really remember, but I think that you were only allowed to join a specific number of groups, so that's why the user-made groups were special to join. I don't remember. I thought the group system was dumb. Anyways, there were lots of different groups, such as the Gotcha group, the Love for All group, that's all I remember. That's it. Popjam had staff and brand-made quizzes that users could take and reshare to their profile. These quizzes ranged from how well do you know Taylor Swift to which warrior clan are you? Shake was a feature to help usually lower-level users gain more followers. On your profile, by the follower count, there would be an option to join Shake. There, you'd shake your device, and other users who were on Shake at that time would show up, letting them follow you if you wanted, and you to follow them back. It was a smart solution to users desperate for followers, even if people hardly used it. Top Friends was a feature kind of like what MySpace had. Originally, users could select 3 top friends to appear on their profile. Users thought 3 was too few, so they'd make extra accounts to display at the top of their profile, and under each of those accounts, they'd select 3 top friends, allowing you to have 9 top friends in total. Then, the limit was extended to 5, and then ultimately 10. On Popjam, you could take selfies, but you could only take them with filters that almost entirely covered your face for privacy. If a child was somehow able to get around the filter and try to post their face, the human moderators would spot that and take it down swiftly. I remember one time being able to get around the filter and then deleting my post right after because I was scared and I didn't think it would work. The people of Popjam. There were a lot of different types of people you could come across on Popjam. While most of the active user base was just young artists wanting to share their drawings, there were some other notorious character types. From gacha accounts to young art prodigies, Edgeworld roleplay accounts to Dollify request accounts, accounts that only posted quiz results, and accounts that spammed 17 posts a minute and clogged up your feed. There was a huge variety of people you would see. The kids. Since like 70% of the site was made up of kids who weren't quite conscious yet, there was quite a lot of random, low-quality, nonsensical posts that would clog up daily challenge entries. These kids were harmless though, and pretty much everyone ignored them. The gachas. The gachas were, well, what you'd expect from gacha kids. A bunch of really dramatic, unintentionally funny kids who definitely did not have their internet access monitored. But when the gacha kids weren't going around claiming that their gacha OCs were their own original artwork, they were mostly harmless. I remember being super jealous of them back in 2019 because my Amazon Fire tablet didn't have Gacha Life yet, so I had to watch enviously from the sides. The Dollify accounts. The Dollify kids weren't super infamous, but I did see a lot of these types of accounts, so I figured I'd give them a mention. Again, when they weren't posting their Dollify OCs and passing them off as something they drew, they were harmless. The Art Stealers. Art Stealer. These two words were enough to send shivers down my pre-adolescent Popjammer's spine. Once in a while, a new Popjam account would be made. Immediately, they'd spit out post after post, all stunning creations, but wait, all these posts are in different styles, and they looked familiar. Could it be an art stealer? Art stealers were always a huge source of drama. They would come about when a dumb kid was jealous of someone else's art and wanted clout really badly, so they'd just take a few shortcuts and try to pass off someone else's art as their own. Of course, 9 times out of 10, they'd get noticed by someone with a keen eye and be called out immediately. Then, for about 2 hours, the entire app would erupt into chaos, a million call-out posts would be made, and the account would be mass-reported and swiftly taken down. The Warrior Cats kids. I was not very into Warrior Cats as a kid, but my best friend was, so I had him tell me a bit about what the Warrior Cat side of Popjam was like. And then I didn't write anything down, I guess. I'm gonna share what I got. Of course, there were a ton of Warrior Cats roleplays, as expected for the Warriors fandom. There were also a lot of dedicated, talented artists. Basically what the wider Warrior Cats internet was doing at the time was also happening on Popjam. My personal experiences with Popjam. Yay! Popjam was like super helpful for me to have as a kid because I went to a very small school where not a lot of people were as into art and drawing and the internet and YouTube as me. So being able to get on an app where there were a bunch of other people like me and a bunch of other people with the same interests as me and finding someone who liked the same stuff as me was just one search away, that was life-changing for me as a kid. I don't think I'd be the same person I am today if it weren't for me being on Popjam back in the day. I remember the day I first joined Popjam, Saturday, April 7th, 2018. It's been over 8 years. 8? 8. What the hell? I was a mere 8.5 years old. The sky was slightly overcast. I was on my family iPad that I used mostly for art, coding, and YouTube, and I was bored. I searched art in the App Store, scrolled down a bit, and Popjam showed up. A place to make and share art with other artists like me? It sounded right up my alley. So I downloaded it and I made my first ever account. Arter didn't last long, maybe a few weeks at most. I posted straight bullshit on it and made 0 friends, but it was worth a mention for being the account that started it all. Then my dumbass probably got locked out of my account, so I had to make another one. I called it Katie's World. I had that account for quite a while, and I made quite a few friends, as well as quite a name for myself. I had over 1,000 followers on that account. That's like a lot for Popjam, guys, trust. After having that account for about a year, I decided I wanted to change. Mainly I wanted a new username, one that described how edgy and jaded and cool I had become. In March of 2019, I made my brand new, super cool, new account. Dirt_draws. I guess I didn't script this part, so I'm gonna have to go off of memory. One of the reasons I wanted to start Dirt Draws was because I wanted a more aesthetic layout, because my old account had just been like bullshit. And I was like, I'm jealous of all these other people who have cool layouts and cool accounts. It's all aesthetic because it's 2018, 2019, you know? And so I would do like monochromatic drawings on that account at the start, and I was like, okay, I don't like this. I'm just gonna post whatever. So I did that, and I made a bunch of friends, and I had like 2K followers on that account. That account lasted me up until March of 2023 when, unfortunately, Popjam shut down. Popjam shut down on March 8th, 2023. After a 9-year run, the app was likely no longer turning a profit, or at least had been showing a significant and consistent decline since its most profitable period. With the preteen demographic becoming a thing of the past, Popjam no longer had the funding from preteen-focused brands that it did before, and most users had migrated to sites like TikTok after its massive boom and popularization in 2020. It had been going downhill for quite a while, and after a failed gaming-focused rebrand, Super Awesome Ltd pulled the plug on Popjam. Despite the warning signs, the shutdown was a massive shock to users. Popjam itself didn't soften the blow either. One day, it just sent out a post saying that they were shutting down, and when. They didn't give any specific reason, so everything I just said about why they shut down is mostly speculation from myself and others online. Popjam simply said that they were going to make the internet safer by shutting down the app dedicated to making the internet safer for children. Solid logic there. Users were rightfully upset. Not only was the shutdown abrupt and mysterious, but for some, it was the only social media app they were allowed to have. Their only way to access the big wide world outside of their life. Now, all the friendships, followers, and art they'd made would be deleted forever. Users were given the option to download their posts and such, but it was too little too late. Many veteran users of the app, myself included, all flocked back to the app to say their goodbyes and dodge the safety sensors to share their usernames on other platforms. Popjam is no longer available on the App Store or Google Play Store, and if you still have the app downloaded and try to open it, it would just show the shutdown message. I wasn't able to say goodbye to a lot of my Popjam friends, and with time, I've probably forgotten a lot of them. But I did find a couple records of people's usernames in my old sketchbooks, so if your username's here, hi! So why is Popjam not talked about anymore? It did apparently have 9 million users after all. There were also a lot of big YouTubers who had brand ties with Popjam. It also seems like the birthplace of chronically online teens and young adults today, so how can there possibly be hardly any talk of it online today? Well, I have a few ideas. 1. First of all, that 9 million users statistic is wildly incorrect. 9 million was the rough number of accounts registered, but I myself had about 15 to 20 random accounts, and I'm sure I wasn't the only person skewing this statistic. The extra top friends accounts are also outliers and should not be counted. This number also includes accounts that were registered and never used or quickly abandoned, likely made by young children who didn't know what they were doing. I would estimate that less than half of these 9 million accounts actually belonged to individual users who understood how the app worked. 2. From all the accounts that actually had people behind them, a lot of them were ran by young children and were short-lived. Popjam probably didn't leave a lasting impression on most people, and by now, a lot of the memories people have of using the app are fuzzy or insignificant. 3. Some people just don't want to talk about it. I mean, who really wants to make a big, long YouTube video about an app for children that got deleted and nobody remembers? I mentioned this, but this video was a long time coming too. I've been wanting to write this since the shutdown, and I've tried many times, but I've always lost motivation to do so. During research for this video, I came across a few people who also had the same idea as me, and some even shared their abandoned scripts with me, so thank you to everyone who helped me with that. Final thoughts. Not a day goes by where I don't mourn the loss of Popjam. I hope that this video will get other people to talk about Popjam, and perhaps it reminded you of your Popjam experiences. I'd love to hear about them in the comments. Thanks to everyone for watching. I hope you have a great day, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, make sure to like and subscribe. A big thank you to everyone who helped me with researching this video. Everyone from the unofficial Popjam Discord server, my friend Leo, who provided me with a bunch of old Popjam assets and who I met on Popjam like 7 years ago and we still talk, and Casual Fridays on Tumblr, who sent me their old video script and who jogged my memory about some Popjam stuff. So yeah, there's probably more people I'm forgetting to mention right now, They will all be listed in the description somewhere. Yeah, but have a great day. Thank you for watching my video about my niche childhood obsession, and bye!